Tonight we've got a decent amount of not much going on. We had some showers and thunderstorms out there earlier, and we might see some more in the near future as we get into early portions of Friday afternoon. Kind of had a few areas of activity back to the east of Chattanooga earlier this afternoon, and again, it did not appear to be anything really huge. That you can thank Debbie for sending in a little bit more in the way of moisture, and we'll continue to see that possibility up until the weekend when Debbie moves out and a new storm system begins to move on through. That will give us the potential of some better conditions across the area where it comes to the temperatures. Note, I did not say cooler, but in the near future, at least we'll turn the heat down by just a little bit. Tonight is our abbreviated edition. We were on a little bit late. We do some recordings in the studio, so we have to kind of wait until everything goes on first before we can get back to weather overtime. Thanks for joining us. This is our live video weather blog. It is Thursday, the 8th of August. We are going to be seeing, again, some nicer temperatures into the weekend. We'll talk about that coming up here in just a little bit. Going to give you an abbreviated edition for tonight. So let's go ahead and start off with what's going on out there. Huge scrum of traffic reported by TDOT on 75 northbound, heading toward 24 west. Construction in full swing back to the left-hand side of the screen, going toward the ridge, west toward downtown Chattanooga. No accidents to report. Good news on that, but some slow traffic. So this is something that you will have to deal with as you get into and around this area later on. So an alternate route might not be a bad idea. Temperatures at the airport not quite as toasty as they were yesterday at this time, mid-80s, but that dew point temperature making the heat index back into the lower 90s at just past 10 o'clock at night. So we've got some pretty toasty conditions out across much of the area for tonight. Take a quick look around where it comes to radar, and we do have a few scattered leftover showers just east of Chattanooga, again, right around Collegedale and just to the southwest of Cleveland, right around Ottawa. That, again, is about the only activity we've got. Zooming out a little farther to encompass the entire News 12 viewing area, southeast Tennessee, northeast Alabama, northwest Georgia, and a small portion of North Carolina. That's about it. We've got some showers over to the south of Huntsville, right along and on either side of I-65, dropping down toward the south, heading toward Birmingham. And outside of that, there's really just not that much for tonight, but I would not be surprised to see some more rain and rumbles of thunder into the next couple of days. Temperatures off the top of the hour, we are back into the 70s and 80s, and going to see the temperatures, hopefully, again, if everything works, moderating as we go into the course of the weekend. What's causing all this? Well, of course, we've got Debbie sitting around portions of the area back to the east of us, and what is left of this storm, this was a hurricane as it roared on shore down toward the Florida Big Bend area. Right now, it is a tropical depression. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. Our next cold front is on the way, and this one is going to be giving us some drier air and a brief downturn in temperatures. At this time of the year, this is about as close to an Arctic blast as you can possibly get. So it'll be nice to get some temperatures in there. It looks like this will be bringing in some fresher air, but some of this air is coming in from Western Canada and the Western United States, where there are still thousands of acres of wildfires uncontained, and that could bring in a reinforcing shot of some wildfire smoke, which could be a bit of an issue out there into the next couple of days. So that is something that we really do need to be watching for right now. The current look at most of what is going on with the smoke is starting to clear out a little bit. And again, we should be seeing less in the next couple of days. It's been hanging around this area. Some of it's local wildfires. Most of it is from out west. Note again, most of the activity out here smoke-wise is staying out that direction, but that front could begin to bring in a potential of a little bit more smoke, although most of that looks like it's heading out into the Great Plains. So it does not look like a major concern for us at this point in time. So good news on that if that stays true, and hopefully it will, because we could use some clearer skies around there. The temperatures over the next couple of days, again, we've been watching this slight turn down in the temperatures. I really hesitate to call the high 80s cooler, but that cool down here, partially due to the cold front, partially due to Debbie's passage up the East Coast, is going to be going away, and the hotter air is going to be on its way back as we go into the rest of this next week. So it'll be a brief downturn. That'll feel nice, no question about that, but unfortunately, we may see more smoke out there in the very near future. The dots indicating, again, wildfires, new wildfires popping up. There were dozens of them in the last 24 hours. Looks like the satellite not detecting a lot of those, either burning out or, again, being put out by the local departments. What is left of Debbie? We are now dealing with a tropical depression. So the National Hurricane Center has issued its last update on Debbie, now moving to the north-northwest at about 10 miles per hour. It looped out into the Atlantic, and then the center of circulation looped back onshore again, so it made another landfall in South Carolina earlier today. That will still be in a good position as this area of low pressure makes its way up the coast. We'll continue to see more moisture being shoveled our direction, and some of our clouds over where we are, that is giving us the cloud cover that we've seen for a little bit over here. And some of the rainfall, that is some of that moisture coming in off the Atlantic around the north side of Tropical Depression Debbie and heading into our area. So those showers and thunderstorms you got today, getting rained on in some portions of the area, you can thank Debbie for that. Now, the pattern for anything involving rainfall is still going away from us. We could use a lot of this rainfall, there's no question about it, and had Debbie gone farther to the west, the circulation pattern might have dropped that rain right over where we are. Again, we're about 6 inches behind for the entire year. Most of that heavy rainfall curving its way up the mid-Atlantic into around portions of the eastern Great Lakes, the St. Lawrence Seaway, and New England, and a big swath of heavy rain out over the Atlantic. Maybe that'll help to cool things off, or at least we hope so anyway. We'll come back to the tropics here in just a little bit. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on. Ooh, nice crescent moon all the way back toward the horizon, and a little bit of moonshine literally reflecting off the surface of Lake Chickamauga, so a beautiful view from the area there. Next couple of days, again, an isolated shower or thunderstorm not out of the question as we get into Friday. But into the weekend, that front arrives and gives us that drier air coming through, which means lesser chances of rainfall. We didn't get much with Debbie. We really needed a good wallop of that moisture to give us enough rainfall to help our wildfire situation and our drought situation. We will not be seeing much of anything in the way of rain anytime soon. We may pick up some activity as we go into next week, but it does not look like, again, too much of anything going on that could really help us out. The temperatures, again, 91, that's about our normal high temperature for this time of the year, so we'll be going to just below normal for a few days. Going into next week, yes, here comes the heat again. We'll be back in the mid-90s by the time we work our way into the end of the week. Better chances of showers and thunderstorms. Again, here is going to be hit or miss, less than 10% coverage chance possible. And then looking at numbers a little higher toward the end of next week, that is what could really help us out. Yes, it might be a problem for outdoor activities, but we really, really desperately need the rainfall around this area of the country. Matter of fact, today was no good news because I don't think we picked up anything in the way of rain on the almanac. We are almost an inch behind for the year. We should be over an inch already. We picked up 0.08 of an inch earlier on during the month of August, and we are now 5 2/3 inches behind for the entire year. So we really need some rainfall to help out. Well above normal, 5 degrees above the normal high and low temperature. 6 degrees, within 6 degrees of a record high. Fortunately, we didn't get that hot, but this is the normal maximum record temperatures. Again, triple digits. You have to get into the triple digits to really start threatening the records. And in the next few days, it's going to be hotter coming up next week after that brief dip in the temperatures, but we are not aiming for any record highs, so definitely some good news there. All right, further out into the tropics, the National Hurricane Center, again, has not they have basically turned off the monitoring of Debbie because it's no longer a concern of theirs from the tropics. It's becoming extratropical, so it is not going to be a problem anymore. Earlier tonight, right around the 8 o'clock hour, and we're waiting for the 11 o'clock update to come out, our latest disturbance is making its way through the mid-Atlantic, right off of Africa, surrounded by dry air, dust-rich air from the Sahara. Excuse me. This is now moving its way back to the north-northwest at a steady clip. According to the National Hurricane Center earlier today, there's not much development chances in the next 2 days, and it is thousands of miles away from the United States, but it is heading in that general direction. And as it makes its way toward the Leeward Islands, over toward Hispaniola, northern parts, it could go anywhere in this particular polygon area. So as it moves toward that location, toward the northwest, it really needs to be watched. We were at about 30% of a development chance within the week last night into this morning. We are now up to a 50% moderate chance of a development taking place. If this does become a stronger system, we will see this as Tropical Storm Ernesto. That's the E storm out there. So that will be our next storm to monitor. And here's the other thing that was just issued today, as well as this particular update. And I really wish we had some better news in regards to this, but right now we do not. From the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, they issue a preseason forecast. They do forecast updates as necessary throughout the entire season to give folks an idea as to if anything changes, if it's getting better, if it's getting worse, staying the same. They do these updates as frequently as necessary. The latest update came out today, August 8th, and we've updated this. We've shown you what Pennsylvania State's forecast has said, Colorado State's forecast, and NOAA's forecast, taking a look at what may be happening. This is tremendously not good news. This latest forecast update, the average of storms that get a name, that is tropical storm and above to a hurricane, named storms on average over a roughly 30-year period, about 14 and a half, give or take somewhere in there, so roughly about 14. The updated forecast has bumped this up to 17 to 24 named storms. If we hit the maximum on this, that means we're going to run out of names and we'll be back in the Greek alphabet before too long. Now, of those storms, of those named storms, of those storms becoming hurricanes, usually about 7. This time around, they're expecting at least 8 to 13. And of those storms, 3.2 of them become, on average, major hurricanes. That's Category 3 and above. This year, we're showing a possibility of 4 to 7 Category 3 hurricanes and more. There's even more worse news at this point in time, as if this could get any possibly worse. We have what is called accumulated cyclone energy, or ACE, ACE as an acronym. Usually it sits at about 123, given how much energy is being absorbed by the ocean surface that's available to these storms to tap into should it become necessary, and those storms they have the right spin at the right location with not enough dust around, and wind shear is preferable, and all that happens. That energy can help drive a storm and increase a storm's power and its unpredictability. So that is what we are looking at, usually at about 123. The forecast, now re-updated through August 8th, is now calling for a 165 to 245% of median amounts of accumulated cyclone energy. This is exceptionally really bad news here, to where we are looking now at what could be, if everything pans out, this could be a catastrophically bad season. So now you're saying to yourself, okay, big deal, we're not seeing anything immediate. Where are all the storms? Well, they are not here yet, but they will be in the course, if everything works, in the next several days and weeks. Remember that we are still just at the beginning. We've only been in hurricane season now for just over 2 months. And this is where we start running into a bit of a problem, because the peak of the hurricane season in what is called the campfire graphic, see if I can get this up here. The campfire graphic shows that we peak on the hurricane season of tropical storms in red, hurricanes and tropical storms in red, and hurricanes in yellow, looking again pretty much like a campfire does. The peak of the season, the median of the whole thing, is September 10th, and we are probably, again, just about maybe a month and 2 days out from that, but that is exceptionally, again, not good news. The storms have the potential of showing up. They just haven't developed just yet. The ocean takes time to heat up. It is already unbearably warm to begin with. Some readings in the Gulf of Mexico over 90 degrees in the course of the last couple of weeks, and all of this is just sitting here waiting for a storm system to roll over it to get the most amount of energy out of this. The warmer water releases more water vapor. Excuse me. It is also more unstable, and it can supply more energy to more storms for a longer period of time. If you've been watching Weather Overtime over the last several weeks, we talked about Beryl as it rolled into the Gulf of Mexico. Usually these storms, once they cross a certain area, allow for upwelling of colder water from areas way down deep under the ocean surface. When Beryl rolled across this area, there was no cold water coming up. So we are looking at what is going to be the rocket fuel sitting in place, just waiting for these storms to come along. And that is why, if you're going anywhere near a beach or ocean situation, this is where it starts getting very, very iffy because of the situation at hand. Now, the next 2 weeks into mid-August, the Atlantic Basin, according to the Climate Prediction Center, showing that 20 to 40% above normal chance for system development, very close to the Bahamas, northern parts of the Caribbean. But then we go to week 3. Now, watch this red area right here as we go from 2 to 3. It shifts out into farther into the middle Atlantic. So you might be saying, okay, well, that's good news. It's farther away from the United States. Well, technically, yes, but then the storms develop here have a tendency to move their way toward and into the Gulf. Remember Andrew several years ago, and then toward the east coast of the United States. Again, that storm that worked its way, I can't remember the name of it offhand, but the one that sat in place over the Bahamas as a Category 5 for a couple of days, that is where those storms originate from and are heading in this general westerly direction. So we have the forecast, we have the information to where things may become very dangerous with multiple storms and multiple landfalls, a lot of ruined vacations, and a lot of frustrated problems with getting out to your vacation spot before the summer is over with. But we are going upwards on the possibility of these storms, so we really do need to pay attention to what is heading our direction. All right, let's do some extracurricular activities here for just a little bit. We got to wrap up because we got News 12 at 11 coming up here pretty soon. On our friendinroofing.com weather poll of the day, we've been talking about these garbage gyres, these swirling areas of garbage that sit in portions of the world's oceans as the ocean currents and eddies move around these areas. The one in the Pacific is, I believe it was two times the size of Texas at least, and about 3 times the size of France. What are in the hugest amount of material in these garbage gyres? Tires, fishing equipment like ghost nets, drift nets, things like that, various paper products, or microplastic. 3 out of 4 of you, just over that, said 78% of microplastics, and that was the correct answer on there. Kay and Andrew, my co-anchors, got that correct just a few hours ago. So yes, that is true. We'll have more on our weather poll coming up a little bit later. New one goes up at midnight, so be sure to stop by and vote on that at wdef.com/vote now. Thanks to our News 12 viewer, Keith, I hope I'm saying this right, Eric from Athens. Very nice view of a sunset Wednesday evening a couple of evenings ago. Thank you very much, Mr. Keith, for a beautiful view there. If you've got pictures, we'd love to see what you're looking at. Go ahead and drop them to us, various locations and ways. Email them, go to our website, or go to our social media pages and drop those in the comments section. Please give us a description and a location, if at all possible, so we can tell where you were and what you were looking at. If you want to be anonymous, that's fine, but just please make certain you give us some information so we can tell everybody else what to look for out there. Shower of a different type, the Perseid meteor shower, will be peaking next week, so named because it moves out. The radiant of meteors in the sky seem to come from the area of Perseus, the constellation of Perseus the hero. This is one of the bigger meteor showers of the year, so we may be looking at 100 meteors per hour. That's one every couple of minutes at least, and hopefully the viewing conditions will be good. The moon will be down. It'll be coming toward the first quarter by next week, which means it will set early, and as Perseus rises past midnight over the northeast horizon, you'll be able to see more. Get yourself to a dark sky location. I have more information about this on my social media pages if you would like to know more about what is going on with this meteor shower. And if you'd like to know more, this weekend, again, we're in the lead up to the meteor shower. So looking out at the sky late at night, you may see some more meteors these days, especially if you're up way before dawn. That, again, is a good time to look for these meteors as the sky clears out by just a bit. Barnard Astronomical Society holding a star party where you get to look through binoculars and telescopes. And if you'd like to know more about this hobby and more about astronomy, August 10th, Harrison Bay State Park, Rec Hall parking area in Harrison, Tennessee. Like to know more, go to their website, barnardastronomy.org, if you'd like to pick up some more information. If it is too cloudy or if weather is too inclement, they will post information on their social media pages, so you will know ahead of time that you don't have to go out to a certain location where they're not going to be holding the star party this time around. And there's a couple more before the end of summer. We'll bring you up to date on those as we go throughout the next few weeks, so definitely want to keep it tuned for more with News 12. Think that should do it for tonight. Again, we're on a little late, so we're going to finish up a little bit early to make certain that we're ready for News 12 at 11, which is coming up at about 20 minutes from now. We'll have updates on the forecast, of course, with Chip Chapman bright and early tomorrow morning, so join him for the News 12 morning show starting at 5 a.m. Eastern, and I'll have more coming up a little bit later on tomorrow night if you'd like to know more about that as we get you into the weekend. And again, hopefully that nice drop in temperature is coming our way. So for tonight, live and direct, I'm Chief Meteorologist Austin Onek from downtown Chattanooga at the News 12 studios on Broad Street. Thanks for joining us for tonight. And again, keep it tuned to News 12 on air and online, and we'll keep you informed.